my polished pals. Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Brush, the podcast all about World Star Nail Artist Competition. If you're new to competing or are thinking about entering a nail art competition, this episode is for you. Today, we're going to dive in and explore some expert tips on how to cope and what to do in a nail art competition. Now, to help me with this topic, I have invited two of the industry's best. First up, we have our resident robot lover, the senior manager of education content at CND, the challenge maker, Beth Livesey, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Challenge
Hello.
maker. I like it.
That's your new name now.
Robot fan. Challenge
Yeah.
maker. Yes.
Next, she is the owner of Ego Beauty here in Kelowna, BC, Canada, an educator, a champion, an international judge. Please help me welcome my nail sister, Giselle Caballero.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you both so much for being here. This is like a really important topic to discuss because I know there are a lot of people who are just too scared to enter nail competitions. So let's just jump right into it, shall we? Zhao, let's start with you. You are an experienced competitor. You have been in multiple competitions. You are a judge for Nail Olympia. Tell me why you should be competing in nail art competitions.
I think it's a great way to push yourselves to just, overcome obstacles that maybe before you thought you couldn't overcome. Because I think when you go and compete, just like the artistic juices get flowing. And I feel like if you don't push yourself to do something like this, you don't really get to that point otherwise. It's easy to, I guess, as nail techs to just kind of do the same thing every day. We have clients and we get in the routine, but never really push ourselves to get to the next level. So competing is a great way to do that.
That's so true. Now, Beth, I want to know, you've been very, very involved in nail art competitions.
Yeah.
What is it that you look for in a champion?
Oh, what a good question. I mean, well, if you look at Giselle and you see a lot of it, I think a champion is someone who's professional. They're a leader. They're someone who you can rely on, who's dependable, who doesn't give up. I think for me, though, positivity is a big thing, right? And I don't just mean when you talk to them, I mean offline, online, all the time, yes. Right? Just someone who has a really good attitude, because I think we all know when you're competing, you get a lot of feedback, and it's how you internalize that and how you deal with that I just think says a lot about who you are as a person. I think there's a lot of characteristics, of course, talent, but I think as we said before on this podcast, everyone in this competition has talent, right? So I think for us, it's about seeing the personalities. It's about seeing the leadership, the creativity. It's all about those other layers.
So well said. Giselle, when you're judging, what do you look for?
My biggest thing to look at is that people are pushing themselves and if they give you the outline of the theme or the challenge, that you take it to the next level, that you don't just go with the basic and like the minimum effort. I like to see that people just, give it their twist, they give it their own touch, and they push it, because that's basically what we're trying to do, I guess, when you go and compete, and as judges, that's what you're looking for, something that's going to pop out of the rest.
That's exactly it, because you have to have the wow factor, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Think about being a judge, and let's just say the World Star Nail Artist Competition alone, we had so many people that applied for it. It's hard to stay interested because you're seeing the same thing over and over again, and as soon as you see that, like, one person that makes you go, oh, that one's different.
Yeah.
So
yes.
I think that's the most important thing to help you stand out.
Well, and you know what? Now that you say that, I feel like a big part is to kind of stay true to who you really are.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
Because sometimes I think people try and do stuff that they think the judges are going to want to see.
Yes.
Or they're going to want to do stuff that, oh, well, this other girl did this, so I should probably do that. So they like me, like they like what this other person did. But I think when you stop doing that and you generally do what you feel like is, motivating you, that's when it really shows.
No, I totally agree. I think, when we think in this industry of people who have like a unique look, right? Like Spiffster or like, Winnie, I feel like, a lot of your creations are just so unique. Like, they're Winnie, like you have a style. I think that what Giselle's saying, like, you need to let that shine through, because a lot of people do a lot of similar things, because in competitions you have the brief or you have the rules, so you get a lot of the group think. For this competition, we had everybody apply with a galaxy themed nail. We saw a lot of astronauts, we saw a lot of stars, we saw a lot of aliens, and it's not that they were all bad, it's not that they were all good, right? It's more complicated than that. It's what Giselle's saying. It's the ones who are like, they did a clear, like a crystal clear galaxy. And I was like, oh, they went clear. Like, like why? And like, but it shows again, like their way of thinking it. Or like the people who had the aliens, there were some crazy aliens who were like overpowering the nail. And I was like, that's cool. They wanted to do the weird thing. And I like that. I can tell a lot about them by that.
It's a personality thing, I think. You have to let it shine through. And if you're not having fun doing it, you can really tell from the piece that they turn in. So for someone who is like a first-time competitor, who is thinking about competing, who's never competed before, what advice would you two have for them besides just do it?
Practice. I genuinely think I did have a couple, I guess, colleagues reach out when the competition came out and said, I'm thinking of applying. I don't know if I should. And I'm like, this is a big thing, right? Like, it is a big thing. If you've never competed, you probably want to practice and test, like challenge yourself, because again, we don't want to just go and do the bare minimum. And you don't want to, I feel like you have to show that you're professional about it too, right? Because it's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging, but that's the whole point, right? Just like Olympians will go to the Olympics. They work really hard before getting there.
That's a great comparison. Olympians, because we're technically sportsmen. Aliens with extraordinary talent.
There you go. Couldn't fit a better definition.
I love how you worked it in. Yeah.
What about you, Beth?
I think, well, first of all, I deferred to Giselle because I was like, she's the expert at competing. We get a lot of comments. I feel like people who didn't enter this competition this year, they were like, I'm going to practice and I'll try it next year. So I think it's 100% true. But I was meditating on this question the other day, and you know what? This is what I want to say. My advice to first-time competitors is not take everything personally. In a competition, the whole point of it is you're putting yourself out there, you're putting your work out there, and you don't have all winners, right? So going in, you may not win, right? There's a chance of that. But that's okay. You don't need to take everything. You don't need to take not winning or feedback personally. And the reason why I was thinking about this is because, no, I have never competed in a nail art competition, but my job is really doing a lot of writing. I do a lot of content writing for C&D. I've done a lot of copywriting. I've done writing competitions. So my job on the daily is handing over my work and people going, okay, this word's wrong. We're changing this. We're losing this. Like, I get feedback on the daily and I have to not take it personally, right? Feedback is there to help you. No one's perfect. It's there to make you better, right? And it's there so you get the best work out and you get something that everyone's happy with. Be happy with your work. Be proud of your work. You're going to get comments. Do you have to agree with all the comments? No. I think it's healthy to have like a boundary and to have like a support system who you vent to. But I think on the whole, as long as you're open to receiving some feedback and being like, I'm too close. That person who's not as close told me this, and you know what? Maybe they're right. And sometimes just sleeping on something like, oh yeah, the next day, like, oh yeah, okay. I get it. I see it now. This is a competition. It's supposed to be fun, but it's all about getting the best work out of everybody. For Scratch Magazine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's got to be a winner at the end of it all, right?
Yes.
We can't all be, I mean, we could all be winners. You
We
are all
could,
winners.
Sure. We
but-
are already winners.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So end of the day, we're still finding that one person, the world star nail
Right, yeah.
artist.
Right, right.
So you have to take what the judges say to really help you grow and see
Right.
it
Yes.
as an opportunity.
Yes, it's an opportunity.
To
Right.
yes, as
Yes.
an opportunity to improve yourself. Take that as an aid to grow, and
Yeah.
instead of taking it too personally.
It
that
is. It is hard. I
But-
think
it's your baby. You made it.
Yeah.
You take
I
things
know.
personally because
I
this
know.
came from here and
Yeah.
here.
I know it's a struggle, but it's all for the best, and we should be having fun. This should be fun. I'm not going to say it's not going to be stressful. It will be, but at the end of the day, we're having fun. We're making great art. Yeah.
And it's never
So-
ill-intended. It's never
No,
ill-intended,
no.
you know?
Yes.
Yeah.
No.
It
Yeah.
seems like that because I think it's like you have to point out the things that could be improved. So it almost feels like it's not necessarily positive, but it's constructive, right? Like it's always well intended. So I think people need to take it as kind of like a accelerator program, or like where you get to learn and take all this information and like take it for your own benefit and improve from that.
Mhm.
There is so many competitions out there and you don't always get feedback. Sometimes there is competitions where you submit your work, you don't get, or you get a very minimal feedback and you're like, I don't understand why didn't I get
Better
somewhere,
to know.
right?
Yeah, that's
I
like
like to know.
jobs too. Sometimes
It's
when
just
you go
like
for
applying for a
interviews-
job.
Yeah, they're just like, no, sorry, we picked someone else. But why?
When people will pay, some people pay to take accelerator programs,
Right.
to take
Right.
competing advice and programs and training, right? So
Mhm.
this is basically handed to you for free. You're not paying to be part of this competition. It's not a popularity contest either. You generally are getting feedback from people that have been in it and that want to see you succeed, because that's the whole point of the competition, right? So they have to see it like a growth opportunity.
Yeah, think about this. The editors of Scratch Magazine and Jan Arnold, the head of C&D, and a lot of other big names in this industry are looking at your work. How else in a sea of Instagram, in a magazine full of art, like how else do you get in front of these people's eyes? This is a really good way. There's only 21 people and the pool's going to shrink. So you're going to be one of very few people who they're going to get to know. And so think about it. Yes, they may be telling you how to improve, but Jan remembers people. I can say that about Jan. I can say that about Helena. They remember people. You don't have to be the winner. They're going to know, hey, that person does good nails. I need them for a story.
Yeah.
Or, I do want them to work on this like campaign for me. So at the end of the day, maybe it doesn't even matter the feedback you got on one challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
We've all had bad weeks. We all have good weeks. Like you're going to be in their memory for a long time. So I think that's the ultimate prize, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Totally.
Yeah.
I love that. This is the golden nugget.
Yeah.
What are some strategies when you're competing? We always tell people to be prepared and go into it with a strategy, because it's going to be a long 3 months if you just go in without a plan. What would be some good advice for strategic planning?
Time management.
So,
You have to be really good with time management, because we all have life, right? Like, I mean, outside of competing, I'm sure most people have businesses and families. But again, I think this goes back to even just before applying. This is something you should be considering. Hopefully you did give yourselves, a time to meditate and really assess whether or not competing is the right thing for you.
Yes.
And hopefully all the people that have been selected already went through that process. So now it's time to time manage. So if you can tell yourself, I'm going to work on this for like 8 hours, but then really plan for 10.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good strategy to really always give yourself extra time in case you mess things up, because it'll happen. And have enough product, backup product, always.
Yeah.
Always have backup, especially if you're working on challenges over weekends, when you cannot access supplies, if the shops are closed or whatever you have to do, have backup, because again, it's on you. You have to be putting in the effort. So don't expect it to be handed.
Those are so good.
I think
those are like really good tips.
Yeah.
I wish I would have known that before.
Like, that's such good advice. I give it
not learn it on the go. I wish I would have.
I know, it's so true. I remember running out of products when I'm competing, and it's just like, okay, but it also pushes you, like, if I don't have this, what do I do? Right. So yeah, that's another thing, that you have to be quick and be able to think on your feet, and most importantly, not give up. Right. It just keeps going, because the train has left the station, and it's going with or without you. What would you say is a good amount of time to dedicate to a piece of your competition piece? Okay, I'm gonna be really honest with you. When I did it, I put all my time and effort. Like, it was a struggle. It was a struggle because I have a child and I have a business, and I really wanted it. And so I was like, exactly. If this means I'm not gonna lie to you, I probably stayed in the studio until like 4 a.m. a few times. Oh my God. 5 a.m. Like, I didn't come home very often. And I mean, thankfully my husband was super supportive, and I don't know, I did put, you don't have to, I'm not saying everybody has to, because this is a choice I made for myself. But I do think if you really want it, and this is something that you're pursuing, it's not just the competing time now. In the future, you may have to, put in time to build your brand, to get work out there, to build your name. So I really think the amount of time that you put in is going to be rewarded by the things you achieve, right? So I think it depends on how your creative process is too. But if anything, I think if you can give yourself more time than not, do it. I think you'll get rewarded for really putting in extra time.
I feel like Giselle really inspired me. I have a lot to say. Yeah, I think when we're talking about creative processes, I work in the way where I have to bank a lot of time, like, to front load. Right? Like, I have to spend a lot of my time researching, thinking, and then I tend to execute quickly. Yeah. But I have to give myself, like Giselle was saying, you have to give yourself extra time, because you just don't know. And then I am the person who would make multiples. And like, I do that when I create content, like writing content, like I have to make multiple entries and then, and then like give options, and then I think that's what works for me. I feel like I've covered every base. I think for this kind of competition though, you do have to set aside time for video as well. And so I think that needs to not be forgotten, because I feel like that's always the last minute thing that people are like, oh, my video won't upload now to YouTube. And it's like every year I would hear that, and I'm like, man, I know we're all putting our heart and souls into these artworks, but video takes time too, to do it well. And I do think at first, here's a little insight from me, I do think at first judges are more forgiving on the video part, right? Because they're like, oh, they're all new. But it does get tougher, right? They get a little bit tougher as we go on. It's like, okay, this is your 5th video. Like, you got to know by now, like, a little bit something better, especially when you have people like Winnie who are telling you like exactly what to do, what software to use, how to make it better. So I think like, you have to budget, like Giselle's saying, you have to budget for time for both the creative process, the nails, and the video. I think that's really huge. Yeah. And then I think for strategy too, I would just say play to your strengths. Like if you are someone like Giselle was saying, if you're great with liquid and powder, and the challenge says you can use whatever mediums you want, and you're like, well, I really want to use gel and show the judges like I can do anything, and it's just not going well. Okay, go back. It was nice of you to try, but go back to your strength, because then when we see your submission and your Instagram bio says like you're teaching LNP classes and you're an LNP expert, and then you made us a mound of mush with gel, we're going to be like, why didn't you just use LNP and make something stunning? So I get it. Sometimes you're like, I want to break out of my box, and you do need to break out of your box and mix it up. And I want to challenge myself. That's great. But if it's not going well, like Giselle and Winnie are saying, scrap it and go back to play to your strengths. Maybe add like a gel element if you can. Like Giselle saying, practice, start small. But yeah, I feel like sometimes I see in these competitions, the brief just, it confuses. People overthink it so much, and they overthink the feedback so much that they lose themselves and they lose what they're good at. And I'm here to tell you, you got to own your strengths, because what we said earlier, your strength is what makes you you. It's what gives your art your flavor, like your spin. So make sure you're playing to those strengths here.
Wow. That was beautiful.
Thanks.
I love that.
My strength is talking.
World star talker. Speaker.
Talker. I like it.
Do we want to sort of get into the judging criteria?
Yes, I pulled it up. This one I didn't have memorized. I'm sorry.
It's hard because there are so many criteria, and I'm sure, Giselle, it's the same for you when you judge competitions. Like, every single competition is different but the same.
Yes.
Is that
can be complex.
fair to say?
Yeah.
Like, end of the day, it's the wow factor. If you don't have the wow factor, I can't give you points. But let's go into the judging criteria for WSNA.
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's like I clearly didn't memorize it, and after all these years, still don't know it by heart. So it's
you don't have to.
Thank you. That's right here on the phone.
That's why people have clipboards and cell phones.
Spreadsheets.
Spreadsheets.
Yes. So, okay. So final nail design, I think Winnie just hit that on the nose, right? It's the wow factor. We're looking at overall the artwork. I don't want to say first impression, but is it love at first sight? The overall look of the nails. Then we have the demo. So that's the video in question, right? So the quality of the video, like I said, you want to have the right pacing. I think my general rule of thumb for these videos is, are they easy to follow along with? Are they helpful? And are you showing that you actually did enough of the technique? And I think this is very important when it's a virtual competition, right? We're not there. It's not like Nailolympia where you have everyone out on the show floor and you're walking around, you're watching, you can see it in real time. It's video and it's virtual, so it's tricky, right? There's a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot you can hide. So I would just say, keep in mind on the video to make sure you're showing enough to prove that you made these nails. And I would just say, like, own up to any shortcuts you take. Like, if you were like, I used embellishments. I didn't make these embellishments. I used Swarovski crystals. Just say it. Just say it so no one's sitting, so it doesn't look like you sat there and made cool little iridescent embellishments.
Don't audio and good audio.
Good audio, yes. Oh my gosh, so oh my gosh, huge, right? How many times has the audio gone in and out? Yeah, it just needs to be. And again, I think we have a lot of grace with this one for the beginning, but just a really good video. And if you're not there yet, that's okay. We'll get there by the end. I know we will. Technique. Okay, so again, what Giselle was saying earlier, right? Did you push yourself? This is a world-class competition. We have 21 competitors who I think would all know how to do simple nail art designs. So we can't just see like an ombre with a gel and nothing more, right? I have no doubt these 21 people could knock that out of the park and do a perfect job, but we need to see more. So you need to be challenging yourself, you need to be editing yourself, showing off your skills. The challenge guidelines. This is a big one that I think we haven't really touched on in this conversation yet, right? You need to follow the rules and the parameters of the challenge. Yes, certain things I think are up for debate, but overall you have to do what the challenge says, not just like, oh, I did whatever I felt like today. And then professionalism, and I'm going to just say like a mini piece, and then I want the two of you to comment on professionalism because I think the two of you know I mean, you exemplify it, but you know far more than I do. And I think you have great opinions on this. So professionalism, what we mean is just, in your video, is your station very clean? Do you come off in a professional manner? Like, are you a good representative of this competition? What would you two say professionalism means?
Let's go with Giselle first.
We're all like Giselle. Giselle.
When you asked that, what came to my mind is like, and again, this is going to be kind of corny, but I feel like you have to represent the person that you would look up to, right?
Yeah.
So
I like that. Yes.
And that's super different, I think, based on who you really are, right? Like if you're not a person like to wear super fancy clothes and stuff, and that's fine, but who would you look up to, right? Like who would that be? And maybe that's who you have to embody, whether or not you wear a fancy dress, whether or not you like to wear makeup or not. You still have to represent yourself in the best possible way, right?
Right. Right.
And first impressions are huge.
Yes.
So again, we are able to get to people through this little media, which is like, video, a tiny little video. And some people, it only takes 1 second for them to look at you and scroll past, and that's it, right? So you literally get 1, 2 seconds, 3 seconds maybe to hook people in. So you have to keep that in mind every time you're doing something. Like you want to represent yourself and the whole industry really that's standing behind you. We want to see your face and we want to see the way you present yourself in the best way possible. So I guess think about every feedback that you get and take it and do, I guess, apply it so that you can do the best you can for yourself, Yeah. I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I love that. And I mean, I think of so many examples over the years, right? Like, I know like sometimes people, they don't want to be on camera. So like we'll get a lot of videos, right? And we never see them. I hate being on camera personally. I don't like it. But I think for the purposes of this competition, we're trying to get to know you. You need to be on camera. And like Giselle's saying, like, but make sure you look professional. You don't have to wear a suit. No, you don't. You have to wear a gown, but maybe don't wear your pajama. Okay, wear a gown, wear a crown, but you can't, wear your pajamas or like maybe your gym clothes, right? Like, I think, come on, like have a little bit more, put yourself out there and like Giselle saying, a likable, how you talk to your friends, how you hang out with your friends. If you get to know us, how you hang out with us, you can be as more of yourself as you want to be. But for the videos that live on the internet that are shown to the judges
forever,
they live forever. Winnie's been like reminding us, yes, we need to clean it up a little bit. And I do you remember this, Winnie, the YouTube video where, we all shoot in like our homes these days, but like this one woman had like a messy bed in the background.
Yeah.
Things like that where it's like you don't think about it because it's your home.
Yeah.
I get it, but it's not like it's not professional though, right? To see like your bed. Like I don't see Giselle's bed. I don't see Winnie's bed. You don't see any of my furniture.
It's all you can focus on.
Exactly.
For the rest of the video.
And you know what? I totally can relate to that because I when I was competing, I had to do it from home.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, oh my God, I don't know what I'm gonna do. What if my cats jump out? And I think you just have to work with what you have, right? Like if you have like a clear background or you have, like a closet door or something that's more neutral, keep it neutral, I guess, because you don't know I guess you want anybody that sees this to take you serious, right? So
that's what I'm trying to say. We want to take you seriously. I think that's it. And I think like the other thing too with professionalism, that I know Jan can be picky about is if you use an e-file, it's an e-file. We don't call it a drill. Just are we saying that we're using professional products?
Correct terms.
Yeah. We're not scraping things off with our hand. Like we're being nail professionals.
Yes.
I keep referring back to this, but I think end of the day, it's a job interview.
It is.
You wouldn't wear pajamas to a job interview, and it's all about how you present yourself too, because if you're on camera and you're talking like this, hi guys, I'm here today to talk about this competition piece I made. Like, we're not going to be interested if you're not exuding that energy towards the screen. And it's the personality that you are building
Right.
to present to the judges. And
That's right.
think about how it lives on the internet forever. How many people are going to be seeing this?
Right.
And it is a job interview at the end of the day, because maybe a brand will be like, hey,
Yeah.
this person looks absolutely wonderful on camera and her station is amazing. I'm going to hire her as an educator. I'm going to reach out to her and offer her a position at my company. And those are the opportunities that you don't see at first, but eventually down the road,
Right.
it's going to
Right.
present itself.
Right.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's what's expected too. Like, I think later on,
Yeah.
regardless of
Yeah.
this competition or any competition, that's it. That's the key for anything else. Like any work, any type of job, any kind of competition, that it's straight across everywhere,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
that's what people are looking for. So it's not just these competitions.
Right.
So
And we want to do the nail industry proud, right? Like we've all been in it for a long time. You know, we were talking about this the other day with Helena. Like we all believe in this industry. We know how great it is. We know some people don't get it and look down on it. And like, this is like our chance, like this right here, to be like, no, we're the best of the best.
We are
And
the
like,
best.
we got to show ourselves that way. Cause I know we are, but the world needs to know. Right.
yeah.
We have to represent. We
Totally.
are not just one person. We are everybody in this industry.
We're a family.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Totally.
Oh my
100%.
goodness.
Yes.
That's a beautiful term.
I loved it.
We are crazy. Is that all the criterias?
Is that
Or
all? Yeah.
Is that it? Is that all
Just
you're
that.
looking for?
It's those little 5 details.
Just little.
Just little.
Tiny, teeny 5 little details. I feel like we can go on this topic for days.
We could.
Over and over again. It's
Yeah.
it's just, end of the day, you just have to be yourself, give it your best, and
Yeah.
hustle. Push
Yeah,
hustle.
it's a hustle.
Yeah.
That's a great way to put it. It's a hustle.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
is a hustle.
Okay, so this is great. I feel like we covered a lot of
I think so.
tips and content for going forward for our excellent 21 group
Yes.
of competitors. Do you guys have any last words or last piece of advice to leave them with? Let's start out with you, Beth.
I knew you were gonna say Beth. I feel like I said everything I wanted to say. Yeah, just again, don't take feedback personally. It's an opportunity. Be your best self online and on camera. We're all here to work together for the betterment of this competition and to grow it, right? To make it bigger and better every year, to be in the pages of Scratch Magazine, to be remembered by Winnie and Jan and all the amazing people in our industry. So yeah, just best of luck to everyone. But it's fun. I know it doesn't feel like it. I don't know, Giselle, Winnie, did it ever feel fun to you?
Only
And
the
or
beginning.
Yeah.
It's only the beginning.
it's only the beginning. There you go. I think that's the
Yeah.
there you go. That's the best advice at the end of this video. It's only the beginning
Only just
Yes.
of the competition. Just enjoy it.
Yes.
Enjoy it.
Just
It's huge
enjoy
to
it.
just be here. Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah.
Have fun. Giselle, what about you?
I have to agree with that. I think it's have fun
Yeah.
with it, because at the moment you may not be having so much fun all the time, but it is really
The nicest way
I mean,
to say it.
That's
it's true. You
I
just
know.
gotta-
I wouldn't have put
it's
it.
work. It's work, right?
It is
Like, it is gonna be work, but you can have fun with it, right? Like I think it's gonna be such a great opportunity for you to do stuff you never did before.
Mhm.
You know, like crazy things that you never really had to come up with, that you only get a chance to do when you join a competition like this, right? So it's a good time to have fun. I feel very proud of the industry. I feel like it's not just nails. It is nails, but it's everything else around it, right? I
Yeah.
feel like we become artists and we become
Therapists.
professionals and we become educators and innovators. And so
Yes.
you have a chance to outdo yourself. So take this as the platform and just run with it, have fun with it. So take it while you're in it. It's going to be amazing. So I'm so excited for everybody. I can't wait.
Well, that concludes our podcast today. Thank you both so much for joining the conversation and sharing some amazing tips and tricks on how to cope with competition, competing, and specifically the World Star Nail Artist competition. So everybody, if you're listening to this podcast right now, this is dedicated to you. We are here for you. We want to celebrate you. If anybody is interested on being on the podcast, please reach out to me. We would love to have you join the conversation and just have fun and chat with us. So thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.